Welcome to Operation Data Analytics. In this video, we're going to cover the AVERAGEIFS function in Microsoft Excel. The AVERAGEIFS function can be used to quickly calculate the average of values in a range based on multiple criteria. Before we begin, I do want to let you know there is a free download link in the description for the sample workbook I will be using during this video. For our first objective, we're going to find the average sales for Iowa. What I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to start by clicking on cell F7, and then I'm going to type equals average if S, open parenthesis, and you'll notice a pop-up box has appeared that's actually telling us the arguments that the function's looking for. So the first argument is going to be the average range. So that's going to be the range that we want to average based on our criteria. So I'm going to go ahead and left click on column D to select the entire column. Now the next step is going to be to insert a comma, which lets the function know that we've located our average range. So go ahead and insert a comma. And then you can see the next argument it's now prompting for is criteria range 1. So since we're trying to find the average sales for Iowa, our criteria range is actually going to be the state names. So I'm going to go ahead and left click on column C. And then again, we're going to follow up by a comma to let the function know that we found our criteria range. And then the last argument we're looking for is criteria 1. So since we want to average all of the figures in column D whenever column C equals Iowa, I'm going to go ahead and type a quote and then Iowa, another quote, and then I'm going to close my parentheses. Now how this function currently reads is we want to average any value in column D whenever column C is equal to Iowa. So go ahead and hit enter on the keyboard. And our average sales is showing $150. Now if we manually find those entries for Iowa, you'll see that there's two of them, one for $100 and one for $200, which averages out to $150. Our next objective is going to be located on the Objective 2 tab. And our objective is going to be to find the average sales that Abby Baker made in Nevada. So I'm going to start by clicking on cell F7 and then typing equals average if S, open parentheses. And again, we're trying to find the average sales, so our average range argument is going to be column D again. So I'm going to go ahead and left click on column D and follow that by a comma. Next, it's asking for criteria range 1, and since we're trying to locate the average sales for Abby Baker, I'm going to go ahead and left click on column B where all of our employee names are located, followed by a comma. Criteria 1 is going to be Abby Baker, so I'm going to go ahead and insert a quote and type out Abby Baker, followed by another quote. And then again, I'm going to separate this with a comma to let the function know we're done. Now the next argument it's prompting for is criteria range 2. So since we're specifically looking for the average sales that Abby Baker made in Nevada, I'm going to go ahead and left click on column C where all of our state names are at, followed by a comma, and then I'm going to insert a quote and type out Nevada, followed by another quote, and then a closed parentheses. Now how this function reads is we want it to average all of the values in column D whenever column B is equal to Abby Baker and column C is equal to Nevada. So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter on the keyboard. And you'll see that the average sales is showing $300, which if we manually find the records we were trying to average, they are right here. And you have one record for $400 and then one record for $200, which averages out to $300. For our next objective, we're going to go ahead and hop over to the Objective 3 tab. And for this objective, we're going to find the average sales that Abby Baker made using a variable cell target. So I'm going to go ahead and click on cell G7 and type equals average if S, open parentheses. And again, our average range is going to be column D. So I'm going to go ahead and left click on column D, followed by a comma. Criteria range 1, since we're looking for Abby Baker, is going to be column B. So I'm going to go ahead and left click on column B, followed by a comma. Now in our previous example, we were typing the criteria specifically into the function. Instead of doing that, I'm actually going to redirect the function towards a cell. So for criteria 1, I'm just going to go ahead and click on cell F7 to select it, and then I'm going to close my parentheses. Now this function reads we want it to average all of the values in column D whenever column B is equal to cell F7, which happens to be Abby Baker at the moment. So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter on the keyboard. And you can see the average sales is showing $200, which if we locate Abby Baker's, we have 2 records for $100, 2 records for $300, which averages out to $200. Now, the nice thing about this method with pointing your function to an actual cell target is you can update this cell target manually, and the function directly to the right will update as well. So let's say that I want to go ahead and switch this to Alexander Martinez. So I'm just going to go ahead and type that in. And then if you watch directly to the right, you'll see that the average sales updates as soon as I hit enter on my keyboard. So the average sales is now showing $366.67 because it's recognized that it's supposed to only find the sales amounts now when Alexander Martinez is in column B. For our final objective, we're going to go ahead and move over to the Objective 4 tab. And for this objective, we're going to find the average sales for each employee below. So I'm going to go ahead and click on cell G7, and I'm going to type equals average if S. Open parenthesis. And again, we're averaging up the total sales, so our average range is going to be column D, followed by a comma. And then criteria range 1 is going to be column B, where our employee names are at, followed by another comma. Now, just like in our last example, for criteria 1, we're not going to manually type the name in. Instead, we're going to redirect the function to a cell. So I'm just going to click the cell directly to the left, which is F7. And then I'm going to close my parenthesis. Now, this is the same function that we did before. We want it to average up column D whenever column B is equal to F7, which is Abby Baker. So go ahead and hit enter on the keyboard. And you can see the average sales is showing $275. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to click on cell G7, and in the bottom right hand corner there's a little green square. So go ahead and hover over that until your cursor turns into a plus sign. Once it does, go ahead and double click, and you'll see that the function has been automatically copied and pasted down next to all of the employee names in column F. So this is a very useful way to use the AVERAGEIFS function because it allows you to quickly view the average sales by employee to gauge their performance. That's everything we have for this video. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel to see more content like this in the future.